I'm a systems engineer, kind of like you too. I build walls and install middleware and test middleware and test applications and things. Luke Brennenberg is in Chicago. He'll be online later today. Sorry, thank you. Just have a longer beard. Used to rub my microphone. But so Luke will be on that screen in about an hour or so, and he's the actual developer of the Sage middleware and software. But right now we're going to talk about connectivity. So basically, there's two ways to connect to Sage via laptops and devices. If you have a wired connection, like we do with this Mac Mini, we can use an application called QShare, which is currently working only for the Mac OS X. But then we can share that over a very relatively high frame rate, about 20 to 25 frames per second in this window. This is actually a QShare window. Otherwise, we can use VNC. So the way the VNC works, we run a VNC client, a VNC viewer on the Sage side, and on your laptop or Android phone, you run a VNC server, and you set authentication for that server, either the username for your device or the password for VNC server. Then we use Sage Pointer, and I'll show you the URL for this in a minute. Sage Pointer application, a small app that runs on our Windows, Android phone, well, not Android phone, but Windows and Mac OS X. And that little application allows you to do two things. One, to use a pointer on the screen, but also to pass your IP address of your device and your authentication to the client on the Sage side to be able to your laptop. So first I want to bring up two sections on the wall. So one, I have this PC laptop running Windows 7, running Sage Pointer. I'm going to use the second wide open access, which is that wall access SSID, which is actually using our back-end Optiportal address schema, but there will be no internet access for you on that access point. It's strictly back-end only, so there's no internet access for that, but you can see the wall. I'm going to connect this laptop now, and I'll show you when it's on the wall, we'll show you how this works.
Joe is pounding and thinking. I just want to point out, like any of these systems, including your own PC, you find a bunch of things that work, and you use them and get good at them. You know, that's just the normal way of doing things. Today, it's almost like we're going through the entire Microsoft Office suite and showing you everything that PowerPoint, Word, Excel, you know, Outlook, and so on can do, and expecting you to absorb that. So, you know. Be assured that you find, just like I have, you know, I'm as much of a novice as you are at this, and I learn this every day, that you learn these things quickly and you find out how to make them work and do the things that you want to do. So don't, you know, we are going to overwhelm you today, but don't feel bad about it. It's, you know, I get overwhelmed all the time myself.
Okay. So once you download the, I'll show you the URL in a second here. Once you download the Sage Pointer app, you're going to, when you bring it up on your screen, so on the Mac here, for example, you're going to see that it looks like, I'll bring my pointer up, and it's going to look like this. So once you're connected to the wireless access, and once you hit the IP address, which is this IP right here for the Sage front end, you'll be able to use your pointer on the screen. So my little J-key pointer is coming from my Mac and going to the screen here. I can move objects around. I can actually start movies and close objects or do whatever I want to do on this aspect here. I can also drag multimedia files. So I can drag image files, movie files, and PDF files from my laptop to the screen itself. So as opposed to doing a PowerPoint on my laptop, I want to drag the PDF from my laptop. You won't see the mouse on my screen, unfortunately. On the Mac side, you won't. On the PC side, you might. I'm going to drag this my little PDF here, which is a very low-end PowerPoint. The screen here, and there it is on the screen. So what you can see now, also, we'll talk about this later on today when we have the other wall up behind you. All this content can be dragged to other Sage walls. So I can take all these PDFs and DNC sessions and everything else and drag them to other walls running in the universe, in the world, in the continent. So later on today, we're going to have this wall behind us. We're going to unfold it. We're going to open it up. We're going to have a 2x2 wall running Sage behind us. We'll be able to drag content back and forth and show you how this works. But it's very handy. I did an NSF site visit in photonics at Arizona about 3 months ago. And we had a 2x2 in a lab here on the 6th floor at Cal IT2. And I shipped a 2x2 to U of A, and we did a site visit with the NSF for almost a week, sharing content back and forth, having BTC communications, sharing PDFs and images and movies back and forth, both places. It came out very well. So, anyway. So on the PDF, I can actually operate this thing. It's like a regular PDF viewer. So, K1, we have, for all this Sage pointing, so Sage is essentially open source for the most part. It's especially to non-profit organizations like educational institutions, exactly. So you can basically download it and install it. The operating system is open source as well, and all these tools to download Sage Pointer are all free. So it all uses lightweight open source tools. It does work over pretty low bandwidth, actually. Everything we're doing here, so for example, I have a station, a 2x2 station, at an art gallery in San Isidro, which has just a lower than T1 access to the art gallery. And I can actually share content between the walls, especially from them to me. It takes a little more time. It may take a couple of seconds or maybe up to a minute to copy big image files, but it actually works pretty well. So I can actually copy B and C sessions back and forth and have discussions with them pretty widely. So it allows you to share a full laptop, desktop, or Android device sessions, so Android phone. So we won't do it today, but
Yeah, we will.
Oh, we will do it today. Okay, great. So Todd Margolis will put his Android phone on the wall later today. We don't currently have a Sage Pointer app for the Android phone. We could probably write one. So currently we actually go to the head node of the Sage wall, and we actually bring up a little VNC client on the Sage wall and enter the IP address and password for the Android phone on the wall, and then it connects to the device that way. So we don't have that nice little Sage Pointer app for the Android devices yet. We could probably write one. One of us could probably do that. And time and a day to do it. And once again, you can share content, movies, PDFs. I copy this PDF to the wall, copy any movie. All these movies that we see in these folders here, all these image files, PDFs, and movie files, were all copied from laptops and devices here in the lab over the last couple of days. That's kind of our main transport method to get things to the wall, is to use the Sage Pointer app and the media share to get things to the wall.
So just to be clear, what I told you before about walking up and using your laptop is one way to do it. What you actually normally do if you're preparing for a presentation is you preload things on the wall. It works better. It's a little bit more. You're not, you don't wind up with the vagaries of wireless networking and things. So there's two ways of doing it, and I don't know if Joe's going to show you, but one of the things you can easily do is save. So we've got a session going on here, and there's all sorts of things happening. Right. You can save that session, which has all of the information, including what movies you're playing, where you are in your PowerPoints, and everything's kind of like closing your laptop, and you pop it back up again into there again. You can save it, and then you can go back, the next day. So if you've rehearsed this whole thing up, and you're all ready for the big NSF, site visit, you can have it all stored and then pop it up again and run through it. So that's very convenient. Right now, we're showing you just how to do this stuff from scratch.
And it'll save the VNC sessions as well. So as long as your IP address hasn't changed for your VNC device, so as long as your laptop is, say, still in the UCSD wireless area, and your screen sharing or VNC server is running on your machine, and you haven't changed your password yet on your machine, then when you save these sessions and bring them back, it will attempt to log back into your machine and connect back to the wall again. So it's one of the odd things about it. We had Tom's email on the wall once, about 6 months ago, a while we worked on it. Anyway, so the kind of see what the boss is up to, basically. The next little slide here. So so we download this. So you really go to this. If you go to Google and Google Sage Pointer, I'll double check this today, make sure the newest one's coming up. But I'll actually email out this latest Sage Pointer URL again. Everyone needs to get it. It did change. What's happening is the reason we had this big change with the VNC viewer was related to everyone's using VMs now on their machine. So when you write an application on your machine to grab the IP address of the machine, what IP does it grab? You have all these virtual interfaces and everything else. It's kind of funny. Normally with wireless, it's pretty well. It seems like most of these devices will kind of queue the wireless interface on top of the stack. So they grab that first. if you're going over a wired connection or a VM, it'll get confused over to the virtual interface level. So Luke had to rewrite the Sage Pointer app to allow you to kind of double check your IP address and be able to enter it in manually if it doesn't get the right one. 9 out of 10 times it grabs the right one, but when it doesn't, it kind of confuses how the VNC client works out. So we had to rewrite everything. So apparently we introduced a little bit of a delay with some of the things. I can actually run photo slideshows just fine without any delay, but we noticed this morning with PowerPoints and PDFs, in slideshow mode, it seems to delay a bit with the slides coming back with the refresh. But it's all good.
Joe, we're into the break.
Oh, break time. Okay.
Yeah, so just
That's it. That's all. We're done.
we started a little bit.
So anyway, so actually we're okay. So later today we're going to show another aspect of this whole thing as far as sharing to the wall. So seeing that part is actually kind of a great benefit when you have multiple sites, multiple institutions where you can actually share content back and forth, which is really good. So later today we're going to do the same thing and have your laptop share content back and forth, meaning movies, PDFs, VNC systems back and forth from the wall. Thank you, folks.
Yeah, so we have a 15-minute break. Please out in the lobby. We'll be promptly starting in 15 minutes at 11 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. So